So that leads us to, with all of these things that we've talked about, symptoms and characteristics, how would you ever be able to work with a person with all of this going on? So Ed, Okay. So Ed, he does not have dementia, and I will tell you that our shirts say coping with dementia, and there's been a few people that have gone up to him and said, "I'm so sorry, sir." We didn't put that he's living with dementia. It has a little LLC there, but anyways, Ed has been designated to imitate a person living with dementia, correct?
I did not have to audition, and I do not have to practice.
Doesn't have to practice. So based on what we were talking about, a person is feeling and hearing and having a comprehension of different things all around them. Their environment is very overstimulating, more overstimulating than you realize, because they can't control where anything is coming in, the input they can't shut off. So if I'm walking around and I'm saying, "Ed, we need to get going, come on." This is what we are born with: fight, flight, or fright. This is automatic. If you get touched or you have something on the shoulder, you hit it off. If somebody gets close to you, you move them away. This is an actual, normal response.
Remember that I don't have peripheral vision. My hearing is muddled. I don't know she's behind me. But if I did that, I won't say in all, but in many assisted living facilities, that reaction would cause them to put on my chart, combative. I'm a bad guy.
And the drug of choice will be Ativan. And Ativan is not particularly a great drug for this type of a disease. So now the other thing is most of us have a thing about personal space. You know, sometimes we just don't like, there was a person sitting way back there and there was 5 rows of table. You could probably guarantee that she was liking her personal space. We all do it. Whether we think it or not, we kind of sit next to a chair and push it. We just do it. And then somebody else looked at me and said, "But they still keep coming." So personal space is about this much distance. If I can put my arm out, this is arm's length. Anything inside this is going to be his intimate space, and I better be darn sure I've been asked to be there.
We all do this every day without even thinking about it. If you walk up to speak to a friend, you'll step in closer than if that person were a stranger. We do it all the time and don't even think about it. It's perfectly natural.
So Ed, we gotta get going. Hey, wait, whoa, hey. What's he seeing? Where's his vision?
Just like that. And now they put on.
Maybe he's a man.
But now.
I put them right there.
And they put on my chart now, I'm not only combative, I'm sexually aggressive. And maybe all I was interested in was that pretty scarf, because that was what I could see.
Or I wasn't sure what I was doing, and I just placed him right here. His vision is only here. Remember when I said if I'm standing, he's sitting? We're in 2 different zones.
So naturally, a new CNA comes in the next morning and she goes to look at the charts and she says, "Whoa, I don't want to work with that guy." And he's ostracized, he's isolated, no trust is established. And it was because he behaved, although no one would believe it, he behaved perfectly naturally to the stimulus around him.
So if I were to do this, I have an agenda. I haven't asked him, and clearly right now I am telling him that I am far more superior and you're going to do what I say. Well, this already leads to an interaction that's not going to be very successful. most of the time when we're trying to get someone out of the chair, you will see bruises. If I'm trying to do this, you will see bruises because when I am not eating protein, my body is remarkable and it will eat my protein until I am now so thin that you just have to touch me and I'm bruised. So you never touch a person with dementia here, you use joints. But if I'm here like this, handshakes are universal, whether we like them or not. Hey, Ed, how are you? Hey, it's Debbie. You know, I would like to tell you about a new person I'd like you to meet. His name is John. Would you be okay with that? Yeah? So come on with me. Come on, let's go meet him. I get down to his eye level. He could clearly understand, and I gave him time to do what he needed to do. But I offered a hand, and he could clearly see he may touch it, but he automatically puts his hand in it.
It's not a handshake. Notice what we do. As soon as our thumbs touch like this, she will turn her hands 90 degrees and grip. This technique is called hand under hand.
So when I was saying that it gets a little bit more difficult to eat, because look at these 3 fingers. That's what you're using to eat, brushing teeth. So now what we want to do is not do for them. Let's start to become a care partner and work with them and have an understanding that you want to eat something? Come on, let's. Now what we're doing is we are giving him enough time to know that this routine is going to be getting a reward at the end, which could be food. Instead, when we're doing this with our kids, they have vision. We're shoving it in their face.
Yeah.
Well, if I do this to him, he's going to back off.
And I may hit her again.
Shove it in his face. So when we go back to cueing, I can have my hand here. If we're sitting, I could put it on his knee. If I'm here when we're walking, but if I want to feed him and get him going, we can do this. And eventually, he'll either speed it up or slow it down, or he'll let go and do it. Because now he gets the idea. And if it has to be finger food, who cares? Who cares? Let them eat. Because what a physician will do most times is tell you to put them on boost or ensure. And now what are we doing? Is we're subtracting food. And when you subtract food and you put those things in me and I'm not drinking enough water, the behavior will be me picking some constipation and poop because I can't get it out. So we want to keep them eating. So if this movement and this behavior changes, you give them food that they can now eat. But what if this was a toothbrush? We get them going. A hairbrush. We show them the motions. We just want to help them, cue them, so that they can do these things. Depression with our folks come from not having a purpose, because we've taken it all away from them. And there is something that they can do till the day they close their eyes. For Albert, he started sundowning and was up all night and slept during the day, or took naps during the day, but was up all night. So they let him mop the floor, they set the table 15 million times, they would do things for him or with him, fold towels, whatever it might be.
As Debbie suggested, hand under hand is one of the most important care techniques you'll ever master. But it's not only a technique, it's a philosophy. You try to stop becoming a caregiver and become a care partner. Look for ways for your person to participate in their own care any way they can. Let's back up for a couple of things.
Imagine, too, if you had a face cloth. You put the face cloth here, and you get them cueing to do cleaning.
You'll notice when Debbie approached, as soon as she had my response and my hand, she moved over to the side. You don't stand in front. That's intimidating. That makes you the caregiver. You're going to do what you want to do. No, you move to the side and you're with them. You're a partner. And you'll notice how she got me out of the chair. Didn't have to push, pull, or anything. With the hand under hand grasp, if your person is still ambulatory, lean them forward. When they get over their thighs, over their body, over their legs, they'll automatically stand up. You don't have to lift, pull, or anything.
What we do normally see, want to sit down? What we do normally see is, come on, we got to get up. Come on. And then pretty soon we're fighting each other. Well, in actuality, what he's feeling is, where am I going? Am I going to fall over? Where are you pulling me to? All on a feeling. All on a feeling. So, after we get a person up, let's get up for a second. After we get a person up, this hand is still...
She treats me at home.
That is so untrue. But after we get that person up, you still have this hand available to have him feel secure. So you can put that under his arm here. And because we're dealing with the dominant hand, he's automatically going to lean in. So he'll just feel safe walking. This is still free. This is not the handshake where he's going to grab onto me. We've locked our thumbs, and both our hands are completely free. There's no control in here. We're working together.
And my dominant hand is the one I would hit with if it were free and I chose to. So she's got it.
If his other hand is a little frisky, we can take it this way. If he wants to roam with this hand, we can put our hand on his shoulders because we're dealing with joints. You don't want to deal with this.
Don't grasp in the middle of a muscle.
Somebody else had asked us if I was blind. You want to still approach, but you still want to now touch at a joint, like a knee, so you know I'm here. This still works because we're dealing with a feeling. This feeling is really quite amazing. Most caregivers believe that they're not going to remember me. And it's probably one of the horrifying things that we hear about is what happens when they don't say my name? What happens when they don't remember me? Their facial recognition is going. So they don't recognize their face as who they are in 2019. They may recognize themselves or somebody else maybe in 1950. So I've had gray hair a lot. But maybe it wasn't so gray when I finally met Albert. He might have taken a step back, but the minute I opened up my mouth, I saw a smile. So I knew he always remembered me. So it's not about them not recognizing you. At that moment, it might be take a deep breath, walk out, and say, hey, Ed, it's Debbie, how you doing?
Now, there's a very, very special reason why this works.
Are you going to ask him?
Any of you still dating?
And if you remember.
Well, let's just put it this way. With a person you like or a person you love, you hold hands. There's a neurological reason you do that. When you touch the heel of the thumb, right here, it sets off chemicals and hormones in your brain that create pleasure, satisfaction, trust, peace. And that's one reason the hand under hand works. And if a person with dementia, if they are in a state of anxiety, you can actually bring them down a little bit by just pumping that thumb. Another way of doing that, pumping their hand, another way somebody
many of us want to be heard? That's why in a relationship, I want the last word. We all want to be heard. A person with dementia does too. So if we ignore what they're saying, for instance, I want to go home. You want to go home? Now you want to go home? I want to take you home. We'll get that stuff ready. I'll take you home. Is that okay? We'll go get a car for you. I might not be getting that car for him, but I may be saying to him, we are going to get it done, because I am repeating to him what he is saying. And what he's hearing back from me is she's listening. Correct? She's listening. We all want to be heard. So, go ahead.
Just one thing about hand under hand. 90% of us are right-handed. This is how you must approach. If the person is right-handed, you approach with the right hand. If the person you're caring for is left-handed, you just approach with the left. Okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah. Now, another thing that we do, and we're going to have to be close to time, so you probably can't do yours, but another thing that we have to do, well, maybe. Another thing that we have to think about is questions.
Not now. Let me wrap it up.
No. We have, no, that was a different question.
Oh, I thought you were asking for questions.
Another thing that we have to think about is that we love to ask questions. And I'm going to hone this out to us females. Females love to ask questions because we think that's how we connect. Hey, I love that necklace. Where'd you get that? Those glasses, I've been looking for a pair of glasses like that. Wow, that shirt is cool. I like that red shirt. Where'd you get that? We love questions. That's what we do. We feel connected. See, we're connected, right? What's happening is if you do that with me with dementia, I'm going to be all bobbled. That's why a lot of times you know, when you ask somebody, hey, how you doing? You usually don't want to know. You ask how you doing, and then you say, yeah, good, how are you? And you walk away. They don't really want to hear it. Instead, you should maybe be saying something like, it's really good to see you here. Glad you could make it. Because then there's an automatic response, oh, good to see you. I don't have to come up with something. How many of us ask, what would you like to eat? We do it all the time. Last night, what do you want to do? Where do you want to eat? I don't care. Why is that okay for me? And now I have dementia, it's not okay. I don't care. If by Friday, if he says, what do you want? I don't care as long as I don't have to cook it. But we ask questions, and that's going to be a problem for me. Make statements. Repeat to them so that they feel that you've actually listened to me. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So you're going to do your little thing, or are we going to ask for questions?
I'm going to do my little thing.
Can you do it quickly?
I'm going to take as much time as I possibly can. I tell you, this is how it is at home. Now, I just want to kind of wrap it up before we take questions with what I call the big three misconceptions about dementia. There are many, many misconceptions, but the ones that cause more trouble than anything else, Debbie's already covered one, and that is that people with dementia are totally unpredictable and they behave randomly, and you can never predict what they're going to do, and that's why you can't take them anywhere. Just not true. They are taking in, processing information differently than we do, and at a different rate than we do. But if you pay attention to them, you'll learn that their behaviors are quite predictable, just like most of us. In professional care giving facilities, we tell the staff, if somebody smacked you like I did Debbie, don't look at that. Roll the camera back a couple of frames. What did you do before that? Or what was happening before that? What was happening in the environment? Was there a loud noise? In most cases, Their behavior is quite predictable. We just have to learn to be sensitive enough to understand what they are responding to. The second misconception is that people with dementia are delusional. I don't even like that term because it's totally judgmental, and it means that if I say you're delusional, that means I got a grip on reality and you don't. People with dementia, as Debbie has told you, they may move to a different reality. Sometimes it's an earlier period of their life. We don't know why this is. Maybe it made more sense to them. Maybe it was less stressful. Maybe it was more fun. But often, they move to an earlier time, an earlier reality, and as a caregiver, the important thing to remember is their reality is as valid to them as yours is to you. And I'll try to quickly tell you the story about my mother, Ruth, that I use as an example. She died of Alzheimer's 10 years ago. She raised two sons, me, Ed, and my older brother, Bill. But she was raised with two brothers, Howard and Paul. And as she's declining, she's in a very nice facility in Oklahoma. I was not a hands-on caregiver, probably real good because I wouldn't have been a good one. And my brother and I, coming from different directions, are visiting her periodically. We're rarely there at the same time. And I walk in one day and she says, "Howard, where have you been?" I had no training. I didn't know what I was doing. I was a guy with an ego in mid-career. And I said, "Mom, I'm not Howard, I'm Ed. You know that, I'm your son." I saw her face immediately turn from confusion to anger. She was furious. Without realizing I'd done it, I'd called her stupid that day. And the best thing I could do at that moment was turn around and walk out the door and disappear, because there was no dealing with her after that. I had ruined the day. And I tell you what, it kicks you in the head the first time they don't recognize you and call you another name. But you got to remember who has dementia, and you got to be mature enough to look beyond that and get over it. Well, I'm talking to my brother on the phone about this, and he says, "Well, that's interesting. She started calling me Paul." I said, "Well, what I did didn't work, so you be Paul and I'll be Howard." And the next time I visited, I responded to Howard. And my brother, when he visited, he was Paul, and it was wonderful. She was happy. She didn't want us to leave. She wanted to talk all afternoon. And she started telling stories that we had never heard before. And we'll never know this for a fact, but we kind of formed a theory that where she had moved was somewhere between her late teens and her early 20s, still living with her brothers. Now think about this real hard. Who had not been born when she was between her late teens and early 20s? Ed and Bill. We didn't exist. Now, I don't think that's delusional. That's logical. And if I can step into that reality and work where she is, it works. And the final misconception, and Debbie's already mentioned it also, they lose so much. She's told you all the five senses they lose. They lose their memory, their cognition, their ability to think. They do not lose their feelings. And that can be proven with brain scans. So you'll reach a point when the only tool you have to work with a person with dementia is their feelings. And you can do that with music, with gentle touch, with a gentle voice. And that is compassionate care.